This is lesson 13.2, Find volumes of rectangular prisms. It is found on pages 631 through 634 in your workbooks. Does anyone know what you call a stack of 52 pieces of bread? Yeah, if you had 52 pieces of bread, what would you call it? Some of you are thinking, well, loaf. Nope, it's not what you call it. You call it a deck of carbs. A deck of carbs. Think about how many cards are in a deck. Moving along. Our learning target for this lesson will be to find volumes of rectangular prisms. And as always, I hope you can do it on your own by the end of the lesson. Alright, let's do some looking back. Alright, it says, you can stack identical layers of unit cubes to build a rectangular prism. Use centimeter cubes to make one layer of a rectangular prism, then stack identical layers and complete the table. Well, they've already given us some layers here, right? What's in this one layer? Yeah, it's 9. So, volume of one layer and volume of the prism. Well, if we had 2 layers, if we put 2 layers, 9 in each layer, and we count those layers up, it's going to be 18. So if you put 3 layers, one layer being 9 cubic centimeters, if we add those up, it's going to be 27. See what it's doing? So if we have 4, what do we add? We add 9 more. That's 36. Alright, and then our look ahead says, look for a pattern in the table. How is the volume of the rectangular prism related to the first 2 columns in the table? And here's what I'm going to say. Volume equals the number of layers multiplied by the volume of one layer. So in other words, our number of layers times the volume. So 2 times 9, 18. 3 layers times 9, 27. 4 layers times 9, 36. So volume equals the number of layers multiplied by the volume of one layer. Well, let's look at our key concept. Find volumes of rectangular prisms. A rectangular prism is a solid with 6 rectangular faces. To find the volume of a rectangular prism, multiply the number of unit cubes that cover the base by the number of layers of unit cubes. So in our example here, find the volume of the rectangular prism. Find the number of unit cubes that cover the base. So 4 times 3, right? Because there's 4 in the front, 3 on the side, so 4 times 3 is 12. And then multiply by the number of layers. There are 2 layers. So 12 unit cubes, right? And then 2 layers, that's 24. So the volume is 24 cubic inches. Now, here's how you can also write that. 24 inches cubed. That 3 tells us it's cubic inches. Alright, so you can write it in words, or you can write it like that with the 3 representing the cubic units, right? Because it can be feet, yards, whatever. Alright, so let's do some in-class practice. I'm going to do number 1 with you, and then you can do number 2 on your own, and then we'll go over it. Alright, so we get the base, 5 times 2, that's going to be 10. 2 layers, 10 times 2, it's going to be 20. 20 cubic centimeters. Now, I want to show you something. It really doesn't matter. Remember the multiplication property? What is it called? Commutative property of multiplication says the order doesn't matter in multiplication, because you can do 2 times 2, which is 4, and 4 times 5 is also 20. So as long as you use the correct 3 numbers, it's fine, but we're going to practice it when we do the base. Okay? So go ahead, solve number 2, and then we'll go over it. Alright, so we got 5 times 3, or 3 times 5, that's 15. And then 15 times 4, that's going to be 60. So 60 cubic feet. Alright, and our eccan statement, of course, says I can find the number of cubic units in each layer of a rectangular prism. So each layer, each of those layers has 15 cubic feet in it. All right, so go ahead, read and not read, but look at and solve number 3, and then we'll go over it. All right, so 5 times 2 is 10, and then 10 times 8, that's going to be 80. 80 cubic feet. It is very important to put the unit, and it's very important to make it cubic, right? Square would be area. So if you just put 80 feet, that would totally be wrong. You have to put 80 cubic feet. All right, go ahead and try number 4, and then we'll go over it. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 times 3, we get 18. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 108 cubic inches. And our I can statement says I can use the number of unit cubes in each layer to find the volume of a rectangular prism. Alrighty, number 5 says a rectangular prism is 6 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters tall. What is the volume of the prism? Well, we just need to multiply these 3 together. Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that, and then we'll go over it. Alright, so 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 4 is going to be 72. 72 cubic centimeters, and remember, it can also be cubic centimeters. So words and then the abbreviation. All right, and then number 6 says how many unit cubes fit inside the rectangular prism. Okay, so we're going to fill this. Now, we're not just counting these individually. We're going to fill this up. All right, I want you to go ahead, find that answer, and then we'll go over it. All right, so it's 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 by 5 is 10, and then 10 times 4 is 40. 40 unit cubes, right? It's 5 this way, so it's 5 by 2 by 4. That would be the dimensions of it. All right, number 7. What happens to the volume of a rectangular prism when its height is doubled? And here's what I'm going to say. The volume doubles when the height of a prism is doubled. And just a simple one here, I'm going to do 2 times 2 times 2, right? So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. Well, let's take our height here and multiply it by 2 and double it. So we got 2 times 2 times 4. We've doubled the height. Well, now we've got 4 times 4. That's going to be 16. See? It doubled. So the volume doubles when the height of a prism is doubled. All right, number 8. Let's make this a Jolly Rancher moment. All right, now I need you to show your work. Tell me what numbers you're multiplying together here. All right, so show your work, and then I'll check it, and we'll go over it. All right, so 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 5 is 10. So that's right here. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24 over here. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. It's over here. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8. Right there. All right. Hopefully a lot of you got that one. Alrighty, number 9 is interesting. It says a rectangular prism is cut in half to form 2 identical triangular prisms. What is the volume of each triangular prism? So it's cut in half, right? So in other words, if it was whole like this, and it was a whole prism like that, they've cut it in half. Well, if we did the whole prism, it'd be 3 times 4 times 2, right? Right? So, or what would the base be? 3 times 2, so 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. Well, they're going to cut it in half, right? Cut it in half, that's going to be 12. So 12 cubic inches. See how they did that? They got the prism, and the volume of the prism is 24, and they've cut it in half, to make two identical triangular prisms. So each of those is going to be 12 cubic inches, because that's half of the 24 inches that it was. Well, all right, let's connect this to real life. So our example says your aquarium is 2 feet long, 1 foot wide, and 1 foot deep. How much water does your aquarium hold? So the volume of the aquarium is base times height. So base is 2 times 1 is 2, times height is 1, so 2 cubic feet. So your aquarium holds 2 cubic feet of water. And remember, we can write it like this too, 2 cubic feet. All right, keeping that in mind, we're going to solve number 10. It says there are 7.5 gallons in 1 cubic foot. How many gallons of water does your aquarium hold? So we already know that it's 2 cubic feet, right? So 7.5 times 2. Mr. Pingman, I don't know how to multiply a decimal. I'm going to show you how real quick. So first we multiply just like we would any other number. So we're going to treat it like there's no decimal. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry that 1. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 plus 1 is 15. So what do we do? What do we do with this? Well, we count the decimal places. There's 1 decimal place here. There aren't any in the number 2, so we're going to have 1 decimal place in our answer. So we count up the decimal places and put that number of decimal places in the answer. We've got 1 decimal place, so now we've got 15 gallons. Well, all right. I'm going to erase this because I want you to read and solve number 11 on your own, and that's going to be a Jolly Rancher moment. All right? No, I'm not going to let you use your calculator because I just showed you how to do that. All right, so go ahead, solve number 11, and then we'll go over it. All right, so we've got 6 times 6, which is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. So we're going to multiply 24 times 7.5, or 7.5 times 24, whichever you did it. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry my 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. Drop my 0 here. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry my 2. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 plus 2 is 16. So we got 0, 10, 8, and 1. How many decimal places do we have? Yep, 1. So our decimal place is going to be here. So it's going to be 180 gallons. And if you put 180.0, that's fine as well. Alrighty, number 12. I want you to go ahead and read and solve number 12 on your own, and then we'll go over it. Alright, so 8 times 10 is 80. See, 8 times 10 is 80. Textbook has the dimensions of 8 inches by 10 inches by 2 inches. So 80 by 2 is going to be 160. Well, a shipping box holds 10 textbooks, so we're going to multiply that by 10. So that's going to be 1,600 cubic inches. Yeah, it wasn't as hard as it looked. We're just using powers of 10 there. Alright, number 13. Do we want to make this a Jolly Rancher moment? Let's go ahead and do that. Going to have to use some critical thinking on that. So go ahead, solve number 13. I'll check your answers and then we'll go over it. So you put 6 of the textbooks in the shipping box. How many cubic inches of packing peanuts do you need to fill the empty space? So the empty space, so 6 textbooks. So 80 times, or 160, I'm sorry, 160 times how many? Times 6. So that's going to be 960, and then what do we need to do? Yeah, we need to subtract it from 1,600. So 0, 4, 15 minus 9 is 6, so 640 cubic inches. Hopefully a lot of you got that. You paid attention to what you were needing to do. Well, alright, let's go back to our learning target. Find volumes of rectangular prisms. Hopefully you can do that. You can find the number of cubic units in each layer of a rectangular prism. And you can use the number of unit cubes in each layer to find the volume of a rectangular prism. Alright, so hopefully you can do that on your own. And of course, if you can't, I love you. It's going to be okay. I will help you out. All you need to do is ask, and you peeps who are at a number 4 can help your peers who are at a number 2. Well, alright, y'all have a good day.